Democrats are unfortunately at it again. And what I mean by that is they're acting like Republicans. Breaking: a House vote to cut the Pentagon by 10% just failed 93 to 324. But this is the first time in decades that Congress has considered a significant cut to Pentagon spending. The military-industrial complex will fall. We will end our addiction to endless, costly wars. 139 Democrats voted with the Republicans. 139 Democrats voted with the Republicans. I don't know if you know this. It's a Democratic House. And I'll repeat the number again. 93 votes to cut the Pentagon budget by just 10%. Just 10%. 324 against. So virtually all the Republicans, save a handful, and 139 Democrats. The usual suspects, by the way. So, of course, I'll tell you some of the good votes. You have Ro Khanna, you have Tulsi Gabbard, you have Mark Pocan, you have Raul Grijalva, you have AOC, you have Ilhan Omar. It's the usual people who voted the right way. And then the bad votes include Clyburn, Wasserman Schultz. Shout out to Jen Perlman, everybody. Jen Perlman's running against Wasserman Schultz, so support Jen Perlman however you can. You have Swalwell was a bad vote. Nita Lowey was a bad vote. That's my district, but thankfully she's going to be gone and replaced with Mondaire Jones very soon. And Steny Hoyer was a bad vote. So this story is actually really important because we have clear lines of demarcation. Like, every single person who voted against cutting the military budget 10%, they're hopeless. I have no hope for them. Don't hit me with, like, what about the blue no matter who? And blah, blah, blah. If you can't agree to something as simple as just a 10% military cut, guys, I got news for you. Even if we cut our military by 50%, we'd still have the biggest military in the world by far and away. You can't even agree to a 10% cut? I have zero interest in you. I don't want to hear your blue no matter who garbage. You are a Republican. You are a Republican. Okay, that's it. That's what you are. You're a Republican. If you can't agree to cut the military even 10%, that tiny amount, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Don't you dare ever ask the left for money, donations, for help campaigning or canvassing. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You're donezo. You're on the enemy list. You need to be primaried, and you need to be primaried ASAP. So the reason why this story is important is because we get clear lines of demarcation as to who even has the potential of reform. Like, there are some people who voted the proper way on this bill who I might have other massive disagreements with them. But you know what? At least I could work with you a little bit, and there's some little bit of hope that's there. But if you can't even agree to a 10% military cut, I don't want to hear it. There's no hope. You're totally diametrically opposed to me and my ideology. And, you know, I am against war. I only think we should use war for defense of imminent attack against the nation. I only believe in defensive militarism, never offensive. And unfortunately, right now, we're the world's sole superpower. We always go on the offense. We're always doing wars that are illegal, immoral, unethical, stupid, still bombing up to 8 different places, shadow war going on in Africa. All at the same time, 32% of Americans can't pay their housing bill. 40% of small businesses are on the verge of bankruptcy because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And you can't cut the military budget 10%. 10%. Now, by the way, right before I did this segment, we got news coming out of the Senate. Jake Tapper says Bernie Sanders' amendment to cut Pentagon budget, the current proposal is $705.4 billion. So this is the same thing, 10% cut to the Pentagon budget. And the idea is you reallocate the funds to social programs like education and healthcare. In the Senate, it also failed 23 to 77. 23 to 77. So yet again, Clear lines of demarcation. Next time somebody asks you, hey, how many are even salvageable in Congress? Here's your answer. There are 93 votes in the House that we could work with. There are 93 that are somewhat acceptable or decent. Again, I might have disagreements on other issues with them, but at least they got this, right? So there's 93 in the House, and there's, what's the number again? I think 23 in the Senate. All the other ones can kiss my ass and kick rocks. I don't want to hear the bullshit, because you know what? There was just a report that came out, I believe it was from Sludge, where they say the House Democrats who voted with Republicans against a 10% cut to the Pentagon budget have received far more defense industry money than the Democrats who supported the proposal. So let me put that in layman's terms for you. The Democrats who were against the 10% Pentagon cut are incredibly corrupt. That's what that means. So just so everybody understands, this isn't like oh, Kyle, you're not being fair because you have some genuine ideological disagreements with these Democrats on this one issue, but there are other issues where you might agree with them. No, because it's not an honest disagreement. I am not corrupted by money from frickin' Raytheon and Boeing, so I can look at this issue objectively. They are corrupted by money from Raytheon and Boeing. This is what makes our politics function. This is who your politicians are representing. This is who they're representing. They're representing the military-industrial complex. They're representing Wall Street. They're representing whoever cuts them big checks for their re-election campaign. So not only is a vote in the wrong direction on this a support of the status quo, not only is it militaristic, hawkish, and imperialistic, it's also colossally corrupt. And I have no interest in any of these people. I'm completely done with them. They could piss right off. I hate them. I hate them with every fiber of my being. Primary, every single one of these motherfuckers. Every single one of them. Listen, it's a long road. It's tough. It's annoying. We have setbacks all the time. But we also get wins from time to time. Look at Mondaire Jones, my district. I couldn't be happier about that. Look at Jamal Bowman. Couldn't be happier about that either. We can't afford to just let the bad guys run the show forever. The elected Republicans are useless, but the corporate Democrats are also useless. We need to acknowledge that there is a civil war going on in the Democratic Party. Acknowledge it's going on and then fight for our side on that civil war. There's no reason to obfuscate or play the blue no matter who game in all circumstances. If you want to have nuanced conversations about differences at the highest level, yes, we could talk about the differences between Joe Biden and between, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and how are they different, and who's better on what and why, and what do we do about that? We could have all those nuanced conversations, but the thing I have zero patience for and zero tolerance for is those who would obfuscate and pretend like there aren't colossal differences, especially in an instance like this where it comes to the Senate and the House. Don't tell me that they're all basically the same. They're not. A Democrat is not a Democrat is not a Democrat. They're not all the same. There are massive differences when you go person to person. And now we have some clear lines of demarcation. You know who there's a prayer you could work with, and you know who there's no hope for it. 93 in the House and 23 in the Senate. And that, I think that's a pretty lenient definition too, if I'm being honest with you. Because here we are at a time where we have a pandemic, we have a depression, and we have a bunch of horrendous COVID bailout bills that overwhelmingly went to corporations and the rich. Your average person is getting hammered right now. Hammered. And you only had 23 in the Senate and 93 in the House that said, hey, maybe we should cut the military budget 10% and redirect those funds into healthcare and education and things of that nature. I mean, the bar is so goddamn low. So goddamn low. They couldn't even muster a majority in the House. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Primary every single one of those corrupt assholes, because that's exactly what they are. They're useless. They are our enemies. And don't let anybody shame you into shutting up. Don't let anybody gaslight you into thinking that you're the unreasonable one. No, voting to not cut the Pentagon 10% and redirect that money to the people in the middle of a pandemic, that's as unreasonable, extreme, corrupt, and imperialistic as it gets.